How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Hopefully, everyone is having a lovely day. So the Cincinnati Bengals, they drop one to the Pittsburgh Steelers, 16-10. Not a big surprise here. You was walking into a game against the Steelers. The Steelers fire their offensive coordinator. First time in 58 games that they put up more than 400 yards on offense. Once that coordinator walks out the door, you kind of expect that team was going to play hard. He was going to get anybody but Matt Canada to play and pitching that offense. He was going to have Lou up and go up against that defensively. Is what's the game plan now? He was used to the same thing game in and game out, and there's literally no tape, nothing at all on how to properly go up against that. And the Bengals defense still played strong, made some big turnovers in the game when they needed to, kept the football team in a game. That being said, they did lose a football game. That being said, even might be more questioning here is, let's look at the offense. Bengals walk into this football game, no Joe Burrow. Bengals walk into this football game with Jake Browning. A lot of question marks around Jake Browning end of the season. Were they going to go get a backup quarterback? Was he what they expected in the preseason? There was a lot of rumblings. Personally, I like keeping him. I love the idea, always have, bring in the rookie, bring in the young guy. He's not a rookie anymore, but bring those young guys in that haven't had a chance. Because they're going to be hungry. They're going to be ready. They're going to have a chance to sit there under Joe Burrow's wing, kind of learn the things. Compared to like a Trevor Siemian, he is what he is. He's not changing. It's very, very unlikely he's changing. At least he is the quarterback he is. Colt McCoy is the quarterback he is. Those guys, you knew what you were going to get out of that, which was subpar quarterback play. That's where they're backups in the league. At least Jake Browning brings you that what if factor, where he's had all this time in his career in his life to prepare for this moment and to play the very best ball he possibly can and really take that and run with it. And it's kind of his team and his opportunity. And that can see a lot of guys thrive and flourish. And at the end of the day, Jake Browning, 19-27, 73% completion percentage of the game. He had a really 227. He had a really good game. He had a solid game. Now there was a couple tips that got caught for some bigger gains there. He threw the one interception. There's going to be plays like that though. There's going to be some questionable throws and a couple lucky bounces that happened this one for the Bengals game. But for a guy that just started his first game in his career, for a guy that, wasn't some highly touted prospect, I mean, he was pretty good. He was solid. He's, again, you expect backup quarterback play. That's the thing you have to remember. You have to expect backup quarterback play. And he was all right there. From that regards, I think you can say out of that game against a Pittsburgh Steelers defense, against a TJ Watt up in your face kind of game all game, when he had two and a half sacks again this game, he did all right. Now, here's where the question mark starts to happen. You have let's refresh. You have a rookie quarterback. You have a football team that has no clue what the end zone looks like in the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the football game's close, and you knew it was going to be close. You knew it was going to be a defensive struggle. You knew the meat and potatoes of this Pittsburgh Steelers defense is stopping the pass. Their pass rush, hitting the quarterback. Jake Browning, again, takes a little bit longer to get through his progressions. The line could do a better job in blocking for Burrow. If Burrow needs time, Browning's going to need more. Now, of course, you can design the quick dump-offs, the quick pass game, and that helped him out. Sure, it did. That was good. But if Joe Mixon in the past, we've seen him a couple times against the Steelers. He's had some really good games against this Steelers defense. So you put all that together and say, hey, rookie quarterback, what could you possibly do? What's one thing you could possibly do to maybe ease the tension of the quarterback, get him into a little bit of a rhythm of things so he doesn't feel all the pressure as a young guy out there? What's one thing you could do? What's one thing you could do if the game's within one possession the entire game? If it's 2-score game heading into the second half, maybe 3-score, what? All of a sudden you feel you got to be a little bit more aggressive. You got to throw the football a little bit more. What's one thing? That's not the situation. Maybe you're winning the football game 7-3 in the second half. What's one thing you could do? I'm trying to think of what it would be. 8 carries. Joe Mixon had 8 carries in this football game. The Bengals ran the football without the Jake Browning scrums. The Bengals ran the football 8 times in this football game. 8 times. With a rookie I keep saying a rookie. With a brand new quarterback that's never started a game in the league in a regular season. And Zach Taylor's game plan was to throw the football as much as possible. And a lot of Zach Taylor truthers are not going to like to hear, but he has no business being a play caller. If you walk into a football game knowing good and well that you have a brand new quarterback, you're going up against a tough Pittsburgh Steelers defense, a team that the Bengals have struggled with Joe Burrow. If you walk into a football game like that, knowing that your running back has shown some spraying in his step as of late, knowing he's had big games against the Steelers, knowing the best thing that you can do for this defense is keep them off the field and try to chew some clock up, knowing all that, I get it. Joe Mixon 8 carries, 16. The run game wasn't the best, but was it ever even attempted to be the best? 8 carries isn't attempting to establish the run game. I don't know how you defend that and can walk out of this football game and say that Zach Taylor has any business being a play caller. I can understand the team's extremely disciplined. They got great composure. Again, you know, we see them play playoff style football. They don't fall to pieces late in games. They always have that faith and that belief. And, you know, that's you got to look at the coach and give them immense for that. You got to look at the coach and say, hey, this team's not taking 20 penalties a game. They're good. You know, they've been ranking really well in that kind of. The coach does that. Got to look at the coach for that. And there's reason to say Zach Taylor can be a coach in this league or a coach in this football team. But there's a lot of reasons to say he should not be the offensive play caller. He shouldn't be drawing the that's out of his realm. It really is. It's baffling me at this point why there's not more fire under Zach Taylor's rear end. When you, again, we're going to see it the rest of the season, I think. I honestly believe we're going to see it the rest of the season. We're going to see exactly what Joe Burrow does for this football team. The defense still might play strong, but we're going to see that Zach Taylor's coaching abilities and play call, it's not winning football. There's a reason when Joe Burrow went down, they had a top 5 pick. There's a reason when Joe Burrow wasn't on his football team, they brought in Zach Taylor and they said, hey, we got to change this. We feel like we could still, we thought the Bengals could be a playoff contender when Marvin Lewis left the building. That's why he was fired. They said, hey, still got some studs on defense. Andy Dalton can move this football, but they just can't get over the big games. Zach Taylor came in and Bengals won 2 games that next season. I don't know how else to explain that, but you know what would happen if Joe Burrow's in this football game? The play calling would have been the same. The results would have been the same in every aspect, but the final 2 minutes of the first half, the final 2 minutes in the second half, and because the football game was in one possession, Joe Burrow would have did what Joe Burrow does, took that team up and down the field, called the plays on his own, know how to, whatever he had to do in the final 2 minutes in one football game. Because that is what's happened ever since Joe Burrow's walked into this building. And it has blanketed, at times, the Zach Taylor play calling. I think it's tough because I think you're going to see the scapegoat here say, well, Burrow was injured, so that's not, you know, Zach Taylor's fault. But I play the same game. The Bengals are struggling. They're hardly a top 10 offense, and it should be a top 3 offense with this quarterback and this weapons core. We talk about it year in and year out. You hear a lot of Bengals fans say, hey, we got to bring in Bowers. We got to bring this receiver. No, you don't. They have so much talent on this football team, and they're not producing at a high level with the talent that they have. They're not running a lot of motion, and they're not playing to Burrow's strong suit. Burrow's strong suit's to stand there and stand at the line of scrimmage and tear apart a defense. He's the Peyton Manning of this year, of this generation. You go out there, you run a lot of motion, you let him figure out the coverages, you let him change the play line, and you let him tear apart teams because that's what he does. And we haven't yet to see them kind of unleash that. Instead, we don't see it until late in games when it's like, okay, now Burrow's kind of got more control of the offense. He's gonna, do what Joe Burrow does. But it has to get to that point so often. That's frustrating. It's frustrating as a Bengals fan because I feel like you can see it so clearly. But I feel like at the same time, we've seen in the past, the Bengals have a history of kind of holding on to guys for too long. They have a history of, just, again, and that's what you have to be careful with coaching. You don't ever want to get in another position where you're not grateful. You always worry about that. You could say that about Marvin Lewis, minus the fact that he couldn't win the big games. Like, you tore this guy apart, but at the end of the day, you felt like a contender year in and year out with Marvin Lewis as a coach. It's like, what if you walk through the door and you can't, instantly the Bengals win 2 football games? And you have to be careful with that. That's why I say Zach Taylor, he's a great leader. He's great at getting his team disciplined to keep them composed. That's big qualities in a coach, because that is what Marvin Lewis lacked, was having his team hold on, have that discipline, have that composure to win big football games, come in ready, confident. That's what Marvin lacked. And Zach came in here and brought that to this football team, and that's why this football team's been in the AFC Championship game 2 straight years. But I don't think he needs full control of the offense to do that, to say the very least. Nonetheless, those are y'all's thoughts. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.